Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Astrology Today and Tarot. My name is Mel Rose. This is the Tarot portion and the second half of my daily astrology vlog, which you can check out on my other channel, Astrology Today with Mel Rose. Over there, you will find a description of the day's astrology as I have spelled it out here. Here, I will discuss the tarot card that sits on the side of the page, and then I'll play another card that, in the context of today's astrology, may just give us something more to think about. So, let's get into it. The card that currently sits on the side of the page, and just for one more day, friends, is the Eight of Cups. And the Eight of Cups is here for a reason. It's here because it corresponds in astrology with the first 10 days or the first decan of the sun's transit here in the land of Pisces. Pisces is a water sign, and cups in tarot relate to water element symbolism. Water element symbolism has to do with how things feel to us, our emotions, our relationships, our love, our intuition and habits, mainly how things feel in terms of our emotions and our intuitive hunches. And so we come to the Eight of Cups, and we see a scene where somebody appears to be walking away. And indeed, the Eight of Cups is about walking away. When we look at the cups, we think, or I think at least, of emotional investments, like emotion that I have poured out into a situation to express my regard for somebody or for a person, place, or thing, an event, some kind of, any situation that might be happening. If I give a lot of love or joy or enthusiasm, a lot of my time and energy to a person, place, or thing, then, I would expect to find some satisfaction or get some reciprocity out of that. It's all well and good to say you have a bottomless well of love and you can always give more. But honestly, it's not very satisfying. It's not very, it doesn't bring us a sense of wholeness when we give and we don't get back from it what we had hoped to get back from it, or something alternately that satisfies, right? So in this case, we reflect on it. We see that we're not going to get what it is that we're looking for from the situation. And, there's a loss to be reckoned with there, because we have given of ourselves in a way that we can't take it back. We can't take back the time we spent or the love we gave or the joy or enthusiasm we gave. But, what we can do is consider it a lesson learned, look back on other situations that have felt unsatisfying, and notice that each time we had to move on. So this time we're just going to choose to move on without, stopping to worry about it too much, right? We want to move on. We want to seek something more satisfying. And tomorrow, with the Nine of Cups, we might find ourselves in a more comfortable position where the joy and enthusiasm we give to a situation has given back to us in abundance. So that's the Eight of Cups. And with that said, I'm going to turn this over. Friends, we got the Devil. Woo! Okay, so the Devil is a major arcana card. It's kind of a major message card. It says, really, you want to listen to this, right? And, it looks like sort of a bad card to some people, or a scary card, or, take the D out and you've got the evil, right? The Devil relates to Capricorn vibes, especially. So if you are a Capricorn influenced person, this may be a message for you. Before we get to the difficult or hard parts, let me just say that the Devil does point to perhaps a sense of play in our life, or a desire to sort of turn our backs on strictly sort of responsible ways of being, and let our hair down a little bit, go dancing, have some fun, hang out and do fun things, just for the sake of doing them, not just for, not for the sake of producing anything or strengthening anything, right? So there is a sense of play that comes with the Devil. Also, though, the Devil is often related back to addictive sort of behaviors, whether the addiction is to like shopping, or a substance, or a person perhaps. Oftentimes the devil sort of mirrors the Lover's card. You have two figures there standing in the presence of some kind of an angelic figure with wings, offering their own kind of blessing, right? But in this case, the two figures, they're chained to the devil's seat there, right? You see those chains are rather loose. You see that they have, grown horns. Pretty soon they'll sprout tails, right? So they sort of, how do we say, succumbed to the spirit of play in such a way where they might feel, attached in a way that they're not ready to relinquish their attachment, right? And that can be, again, addictive things like shopping or drinking, or some people are addicted to religion. Some people are addicted to television. We all have these habitual tendencies that, when we find something that gives us a sense of purpose, or gives us a sense of meaning, or it gives us a sense of escape, especially escape from the tedium and the struggle of daily life, then, sometimes we tend to cling to it in an unhealthy way. Okay, so this is a warning against clinging to things in unhealthy ways. And it's a warning that says you may feel like you are powerless to affect your circumstance in terms of, the things that you're doing that are not productive or helpful in your life. But the truth is that you have more power than you think, and you can absolutely remove those chains and move on. There's another thing that comes up here, and it's the cave. I think it's a philosopher called Plato who talks about the cave, and how in a certain part of our life we're sort of locked down in this cave, and all we can see is the back wall. And on the back wall, what we can see is the sunlight that shines in the cave and the shadows of anything that might be going on right outside the entrance to that cave, right? And we look at that wall and we think of that as what's real, because it's the only thing that we can see, right? We think those shadows are the reality. We think that sunlight is the sunlight, that reflected sunlight that we see. But then eventually, we are somehow freed from our shackles. In this situation, we would free ourselves from our chains, right? And we can turn to see the entrance to the cave. We even walk to the entrance to the cave, and our perspective gets broadened, it gets bigger, and it becomes more clear. And we recognize what actual sunshine is like, and we recognize what activities are really going on in the world. And they're really nothing like the shadows that we could see on the back of the cave, right? So there's guidance here to set yourself free from perspectives that limit your ability to be honest with yourself and others about your situation in your life. Okay, so where do we see the devil on the page? Where do we see the devil on the page? Well, I'm going to go to the moon's square to Neptune today. The moon does culminate a square to Neptune this morning at 9:46, and that means that it's coming close to that square in the hours preceding that, and then it's drifting off from that square in the hours after that. The moon moves really quickly during the day, so this is a just for today kind of aspect. But the moon square to Neptune, says it can be hard to use your imagination, right? So we might fool ourselves into thinking that what we perceive, just from the limited place where we're allowing ourselves to act, where we're allowing ourselves to perceive, we can be fooled into thinking that things are one way when they are actually another way. We fooled into thinking that things are what we want to see them be, when in fact it's much more colorful and complex and realistic than what it is that we're perceiving, right? A lot of times when we get unimaginative about a person, place, or thing, a situation, right? Especially in our personal life, we tend to simplify matters. Like, say, our relationship with somebody is giving us trouble, so we'll simplify it. We'll just say, well, that person just doesn't want me to be happy, or that person is just trying to make things difficult for their own purposes. And perhaps that is the case, but really, truly, an individual's intentions rarely come down to something so simplistic as, I just want this person to be unhappy, or I just want this person, or I just want this situation to be difficult for people because it's difficult for me. We rarely do that consciously. Now, sometimes we do it a little unconsciously, right? But especially when we're looking at other people, or we're looking at circumstances in our personal life, and we think, and we simplify it in this really negative way that just says, oh, this is crap, and it's crap because somebody wants it to be crap, or it's just bad because somebody did something bad, that's it. We have to recognize that that's a simplification of that situation. It's a simplification of people's motivations. And, the reality is often way more complex and nuanced than we think it should be, than we think it is, right? So remember that. And, it can be hard to imagine getting what you want from a situation like that, especially if you're thinking of somebody as just being a bad actor for being the sake of a bad actor. But, you're still encouraged to try to make that connection, to have that conversation. I would suggest approaching it from a standpoint of, like, I don't really think I understand what's going on here, because if I did understand it, I would think that, the intention here was really bad. And I don't think that you're the kind of person who has bad intentions toward me. So help me understand what's going on here. That would be a good way to move forward on a conversation where we're trying to get what we need or desire out of our connection to somebody or some situation, and it's not happening, and we're feeling kind of negative and stuck about it. So that's the Devil on the page today, and we're going to put that together with our 8 of Cups. And just give myself a moment to give that some thought, huh? So 8 of Cups, disillusionment, right? We feel this, we're laboring under the illusion that if we gave enough of ourselves to a situation, it would become satisfying for us. It would become fulfilling for us. We would have, sort of our wishes and desires fulfilled. But, we become disillusioned, and that's a devil kind of thing, right? Like, the devil brings illusions. The devil allows us to see things from a negative perspective, when perhaps, the intention is not really so negative in that situation. But, in either case, having become disillusioned, having been under sort of perhaps this illusion of our powerlessness, or this illusion of the power of our will just to make things happen, right? Once we become disillusioned, then we get to walk away, and we get to find a new perspective and a new way to do things. So there's more coming to me here. The difference I see in these cards is that this person is empowered to walk away. They know that they can move on as soon as they realize that they've been either deluding themselves, or somebody else has been sort of leading them on, or some other situation has just seemed like it was more promising than it actually was. As soon as we come to that recognition, all there is to do is to walk away, to turn a cold shoulder to that old situation, and to, allow our feelings to carry us on in search of that satisfaction. Whereas here, these people don't necessarily recognize that they are empowered to walk away. There's a funny thing about, being in situations where you are deeply under an illusion that something is working for you when it isn't. And that is that you think it is, right? Okay, this one has the recognition that something isn't working, right? And it dawns on you as soon as it stops working. You're just like, oh wait, that's really not working. I've given this a few tries and it's not working. Whereas, with the devil, when we get ourselves chained to something that keeps us in a negative perspective, that keeps us, you know, in that way of being that allows us to suffer our illusions as though they are real, then you don't really understand that you can walk away, right? Like, you in both cases, you know, you're dealing with reality, but in this case, you're kind of in denial of reality, and your denial is being reinforced by something that makes you feel good, makes you feel superior, makes you feel, you know, just better than you did before, 10 minutes ago, 2 days ago, whatever. So, you know, part of this is about waking up to the fact that you are living under an illusion. And, you know, only when you wake up are you going to be able to recognize that you are on a chain, and then you can recognize that that chain is relatively loose and you can remove it and move on when you're ready. Okay. So check your life for illusions, check your life for areas where you have been, you know, fooling yourself, and check your life for areas where you have a consistently negative attitude or story that you're telling about a situation without actually interacting very much with the situation, or a consistently negative story that you're telling about your relationship with a person where you're not really interacting in an honest way with that person. Okay. Because, you know, that's going to be your clue that you are living under an illusion, that especially an unhelpful illusion, right? Is when you, you know, when you're lying to yourself, or when you're lying to somebody else and saying that you're okay, that everything is fine here, that the way you're handling things is working just great, when, you know, in fact, you are, you're not being honest with that other person. And, you know, here's the thing, more often we realize that we're not being honest with somebody else than do we recognize that we're not being honest with ourselves. Often we have to recognize that we're being dishonest with somebody else before we understand that we've been dishonest with ourselves. Okay, so really check for the honesty, and really check for the negative, the consistently negative sort of narrative, sort of story that you tell about a person, place, thing, situation, event. Okay, there is another perspective to gain. And you don't have to chain yourself to that illusion. You don't have to chain yourself to that negativity just in the name of really not wanting to see the complexity, nuance, color, and detail of a situation. Okay, we're all really better off with more understanding, more knowledge is more power, more, you know, clear perspective on things is more empowering for us than just allowing ourselves to be limited by thinking that someone or something is bad, and therefore, you know, we should lie to them, and we should cut them out of things, and we should make them feel as though they don't belong with us, right? And that's, again, not just people, but places and things, situations that we're in. Okay, check for the consistently negative narrative. When you realize that you have been dishonest with someone else, or were dishonest with yourself, when you realize that you've been laboring under an illusion, that's your opportunity to move on and seek something more satisfying. Okay, I think that's all I have to say about it today, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. I truly appreciate your presence here. My name is Mel Rose, and I'll see you all back here tomorrow for more Astrology Today and Tarot.